Oh, YouTube, you might have missed it. You might have missed some good stuff here. Anyways, um, yeah, this is a book that I just did. I did the sequentials for. Um, Super fun book. Let me read the description. It's about four friends that meet up that haven't been around each other in a while, and they get into some crazy adventures. I have the honor of doing the sequentials for it, so um, it's a super fun book. So okay, so there were some technical difficulties. I'm still getting the hang of this live streaming all by myself, so I apologize for you on YouTube that might be watching. Uh, I'm apparently live now. Okay, so let's get back to this book. It's funded. Oh, it's double funded. Okay, so Ray here is the creator of the writer creator of the book. Um, he's the one that hired me to do this. So he just informed me that it's double funded. So yay! But keep on going to get this book. Like everything in this book is awesome. You won't be disappointed. Um, they got awesome covers from amazing artists and amazing colorists. They got Dan Kemp and Dave Kemp, who I was excited for them to be working along me or me working along them actually. But yeah, here's some of the interiors I did, and we're going to be talking about some of those um, tools that I had to put to use for doing this. But before, make sure you go check out Madcaps and Kickstarter. It's live right now. We are doubly funded, but we have 28 days to go, so you could still pick it up. Go pick it up. There's some great add-ons and things like that. So super excited. Go check that out. All right. Oops. Let's see. What did I do? I did something that's not working here. Oh. All right. So things were all messed up. Episode. So let's see. Okay. So you just got that book, and now you have to draw it, right? So you just got a script. I'm going to go through the bullet points, the few things you should know when you're working on a book and you're going to be doing sequentials. Um, so for me, I'm going to be using a script, and I shared this on my Facebook. So if anybody wants to go see it, I shared a script. Um, but my first tip is the big one. You're doing your sequentials right here. Read the script. Read the script. Okay. Don't just browse through it. Don't pretend you've read it, because a lot of times you may get a script that has very important key moments in it that you don't really read it all the way through and study it. You may start drawing some pages and then get to this point where they say, well, the character's costume that has this on it, he pulls something out of it and uses, let's say, a weapon or whatever. And you haven't been drawing that weapon, that pocket, whatever. And now you have to go back and you have to draw so many things over because you didn't study the script. So what I highly suggest is when you get a script, I'm going to switch over. I'm going to show you the script that I shared earlier. So I had this script, right, that I had shared earlier. And this is a script that I got for my tryout for Marvel Comics. Um, I shared this on my Facebook, so if you're watching, go take a look at it. This is what I'm going to be using as my template for what I'm going to be doing. And I'm just going to be doing this first page. The first page is only 6 panels, which seems easy enough, right? But you go through the script, if you've read it, this first panel is a setup panel. What is a setup panel? Setup is going to be setting up where your environment is, um, where where they're at, whether they're in a city, they're in a forest, they're wherever they may be, time of day, things like that. All these important little things. This one, when it starts off, says shot of Spider-Man villain, the Shocker. He's standing menacingly in front of a storefront clinic. Actually, a fairly big place, and this takes place in a large corner building. That's pretty big information that you're going to need to put in a panel, and you have to be able to convey that. Um, so you have to, at this point, you have to decide. You've read it through. You have to decide what panel is going to be my main panel for this page. Right? So as you read through it, and you know, if you get it off Facebook, but it has 6 panels, right? So the second one is Shocker threatening a woman. Third one, I think it says Elector charging up. That's his wristband things. To blast the lady. Then um, you got Shocker whirls around to see Peter, and then he whirls around the other way to see Miles. And then 6 is a close up of Shocker. Knows he knows he's beat, but he's going to fight her anyway. We almost feel bad for him. Now, reading that, I'm gonna let you know right now that 1 and 6, these panels are your big ones, right? Now I've seen other people's interpretation of this script. Once I had done this, I went online and um, I saw what they did, and there were some that chose to do the Spider-Man and Miles panels really big, um, but I don't think that really helped the story at all. I think 1 and 6 were the panels you want to really be focused on, because one, you need your establishing shot, right, which is kind of one, and then you want that big emotional shot, which is number 6, because 4 and 5 you could just show Spider-Man in the distance, whatever. Um, I'll show you at the end of the show what I did for this, because I'm not using that to show you guys. I'm taking you through my steps, so I'm gonna do something new. Um, and the threatening of the woman, it could be a smaller, right? So you got to decide right now which ones are going to be your big panels, and I've already decided it's going to be 6, right? Okay, so let me get us out of here. Oops, I still have my intro. All right, so we got that set. All right, let me bring up a page here. So I'm going to show you guys my steps after I've read this script. Um, so all right, page setup right here. The next thing I'm going to focus on. I've read the script, I've studied it, I printed it out, I've taken it to the bathroom with me, and I just read it over and over and over and over again, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my character study, because I could just jump right in and start drawing the characters, but if you don't do your character studies and get to know what the characters look like ahead of time, they're going to be changing how they look from panel to panel. Yeah, you may have drawn Spider-Man 1,000 times. I've drawn Spider-Man so many times that I could just pick up a pencil and draw him. But you haven't drawn him over and over on sequential panels where his eyes have to look the same. The way his webbing on his costume has to stay consistent, right? So that's going to be your first step. John, hey John, how's it going? Thank you for joining me. Um, so we're going to do a couple of character studies. We know that there's Spider-Man in it. We know that Shocker's in it. We know that Miles is in it. But you also have a character um, that's going to be appearing in a couple of panels, right? Um, Now this script, I believe it's five pages. So that doctor never appears again. But it's good to have that study of that character, even if it's a couple of drawings, only because you see in panel 1, she's telling Shocker he can't come. Then he's gonna attack her. He's trying to fend him off. So there's 3 panels that this character has to appear in. And you may get a certain camera angle where she appears in the background of something. So um, another one you could just do a character study of, or being a doctor, you just. But this being a Spider-Man book and Shocker, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do first. I'm going to do a character study of Shocker, because I've drawn Spider-Man a bunch. Miles Morales isn't much different. You just gotta invert some the way his webbing looks and things like that. Like make his webbing red and his costume black. But Shocker, he's not one of them. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to grab this is my gesture sketch brush. So this brush is, you see it, it's super. super soft, I could get a nice hard edge. It's like if your pencil has dulled out, you could get these nice soft lines with it to do your gesture sketches. That's how I like to do it. Um, I like to use those soft brushes. Hotel Arts, what's up, Chad? How's it going, man? All right, so I got Shocker. It's tough to hear sometimes. Yeah, I was having some audio problems. Um, I'm just gonna have to work with what I have right now. I feel like it keeps cutting in and out. Let me see. Let me switch over real quick, and I am going to try to correct some audio. Let me see if this helps. Real quick. Bear with me here. All right. Hopefully this helps. We'll see. I'm a bit. I sound a bit louder. I have like an echo though. My apologies, guys. That's the awesome. Ooh, I got an echo. Maybe the echo on my side only. Somebody can let me know. Anyways, let's get back to it. Ooh, that echo was bad. All right. So I'm just gonna do a quick gesture sketch of the shocker. Right? So this is how I started. Keep it super loose. Oh, this sounds really. Yeah, I might need a new mic. You know what? New. Have a new. Have a new audio program that's it's starting to get buggy. I'll just talk louder. Hopefully that works. Oops. This is still open. Let me put it down. All right, here we go. I'll talk louder and try to talk directly into the microphone without bumping it. All right. So I'm just going to do a quick gesture sketch of, sorry, character sketch of Shocker. He's pretty simple, and I'm going to keep it really loose. This is just to show me like how I want his costume to look. Like everything I could lay out, and I could go back and use it as my reference. Um, so let's see. Get a new page, and yeah, I'm just doing this really loose right now to decide how I want him to look. Now you go online, you get a bunch of reference, get as much reference as possible to look at the costume, and try not to copy um, the artist. So try to put your own spin on it. When I went to go look when I was doing um, this tryout, it was hard to pin down a look for him because there are so many different looks. Like I could go with the classic look, which I kind of went with um, based on like some of his cartoon appearances, things like that. Um, but there's so many different versions of the character, so many different costumes. Just pick one that works. You could also ask um, the editor you're working with, or that wants to see your work, um, what costume they might want to see if they have one in mind. I always go classic character costumes because the majority of the time that's what people know, so they'll recognize it right away. Um, if they decide, hey, yeah, that's not the costume we wanted, they're still just looking at your artwork. They're trying to see um, if you can draw the character. Now, if you're working on an actual book and you're trying to get a look down, it's best to get approval from your editor first, or, creator editor. Um, when I did the Mad Caps, I did a couple of face drawings just to make sure that I can um, get down the character and do him justice without him being too different than what he was before. Lee Reese, what is up, man? How are you doing? Thank you for joining me. Um, yeah, so you want to get everything approved by whoever you're working with first. Uh, Hip hop junk, yo yo, hey, Oh, I enjoyed your show. I had to leave. I had to leave to do some family stuff before I got started, but I'll be watching more. So let me get back to it. Yeah, get approval from an editor or whoever you're working on the book with, because you don't want to do your take on the character and they don't like it, and now you've drawn 6, 7 pages, and they want you to go back and redo them. So make sure you're getting approval along the way. The way I work, I'm pretty sure I bug people because I work this way. Is I'll do my character sketches, send them off. They're like, "Yeah, great." I'll do my thumbnails along with, you know, on my layouts how I envision it. Um, Wait for them to approve that. Start working. I'll send a page or two. Um, but yeah, anytime. Yeah. I subscribed, hit notify, so I'll be seeing your other shows. Anyways, so I keep sending them to the editors because I want that approval. I hate going back and having to fix stuff. Whether it's my drawings or when I'm coloring, I'll even send my flats and be like, hey, this is my my base values that I'm going to be using while I'm coloring. Does this work for you? Um, a lot of times they say yes because there's no shading on it, there's no nothing. But anyways, let's get back to this. So I'm just gonna set his basic facial structure. I know, Shocker's got this brown thing on him, and then he's got these. I always call him diamond tuck. I used to, when I was younger, I used to work in the family's upholstery business, and we used to work on cars. And anytime I would see these cars come in with this pattern, it was called diamond tuck, and it was like a lot of old pimp cars would have this, and that's all I ever see when I see Shocker's face. Is he looks like he's got diamond tuck all over his body. He looks like a pimp, you know. He's got that pimp interior. That's what I see. So okay, so I got this loose. I'm not gonna dive too deep into like recreating the character or everything I did for him, because when I did my Marvel tryout, there was no like, hey, is this approved? Is this good? Is that good? I had to just start doing it. I did this for myself, so I had reference to go look at, so I could see it later and be like, okay, yeah, I gave him, you know 5 lines across and 5 lines down, however I did it. So that way it stays consistent, because you don't want to be drawing and then you're like, why does he have like 15 of these little diamonds all over his face, and then that other page he only has like 5. People are going to catch that. There's people out there who are going to just be studying what you do, and they're going to pick out your mistakes. You may have missed them, but they're going to find them. All right, so let me go down, put that together here. I'm going to do another real quick. Um, I got that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get my pencil brush. It's basically like a super sharp pencil, and I'm just gonna do this quick little sketches just to get him done. Now, when you're doing a character study, um, I would fill up this whole page with just this character. Um, for instance, um, I would be drawing him shooting the electroshocks out of his gloves. Right? I would do something like that. Like I would let me get my I would put him here and give him a good pose on how he shoots, because now I kind of am getting a grasp of how I want him to physically look. You know, um, big bulky guy. He's not going to be as agile as like Spider-Man or Miles Morales. Um, so I'm going to do several little sketches just to see how he looks and how I want to make sure that he stands. You know, how he shoots his electricity, how he jumps, how he walks. I'm going to be going through all those things when I do this. And it's a lot of work. But if you got a book and you're getting paid for it, you have to put in these extra little things, these extra little touches, because you know what? This is what people are going to see. People see this and they can see that you put in all this extra work. They're going to see that you took the time to really study these characters and you understand them. So you're not going to go from one panel to the next and he's going to lose 50 pounds. You know, people are going to see that this character is being handled correctly. Right? So, okay. So that's one thing you have to do. All right. The next thing you're going to have to do, this is a big one, pain in the butt, but it's important, is your thumbnails. Make sure you really, really spend time on your thumbnails. Right? A lot of us want to get straight into the drawing. I know I'm one of them. I just want to jump right in, just start drawing. But you want to get those thumbnails down, right? You're not worried about your layout yet. A lot of times when I do my thumbnails, so like my first page, I know it's going to be one panel. I mean, sorry, I know it's going to be 6 panels, and I want that establishing shot. So I'll draw the city here. You know, it said there was a city shot. Hold on, let me bring it back up so we can read it here. Um, all right. So yeah, yeah. All right. Let me bring it. Let me bring it back down. Okay, so we can read it. All right. We know this is an establishing shot. Um, we know Shocker's in it. We know there's a doctor in it that's trying to stop him from, getting in there. It says he's standing menacingly in front of a storefront clinic. So we already know we're going to need the store. We're going to need Shocker. And we're also going to need a doctor in there. And it gives us a tiny description of what the doctor looks like. You don't need to worry about that yet. But now's the time when you start going, okay, what angles am I going to use? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Right. So I'm going to do my first thumbnail. Let's see. Let's make and I do it small like this. I'm not worried about my layout yet. Right. So let's say this is Shocker. Here's the doctor. Right. And this is how loose my thumbnail is. It is super loose. I am just trying to figure out my camera angles and everything. So I know she's going to be in front of this storefront, right? Clinic. Maybe I put a clinic sign. Um, let's see. There's a hole blown in it, so you got to remember all of that information. I also want to make sure that like you can see the city in the background, so we know we're in New York City. We know that stuff has gone down. It's a lot of information to get in that first panel, but you have to be able to convey this so that way the reader instantly knows where they're at and what's going on. So I did this very generic one. Let's say this Shocker right here, right? Here's the doctor, right? So that's very generic. It's very eye level. Maybe I'll play around with it and do another one. And I'm going to, let's say I'm going to do a bird's eye view, right? So I'm going to put Shocker here, just slightly above Shocker. So here's Shocker with his diamond tuck costume. Here's the doctor right here. She's farther back. Um, she is blocking this storefront, the hole blown in it. Um, so if you do something like this, you're going to have to give the reader certain little um, certain things that are distinctively New York, whether it's a street sign or I don't know, a mailbox that says New York on it, anything like that, anything that's gonna let them know where they're at without writing New York City. Because if you look at the captions for it, there is no you know boxing New York City. Hey Charles, how's it going? Interesting. Oh, thank you. Let me know if I just start rambling because I tend to do that. I start to go too deep into stuff. So This one right here, this one's a little bit more difficult because I would think I would need to put something right here to let the reader know. Okay, they're in New York City because all these characters travel all over, and for all we know, he went to California, and there's a character in California. The West Coast Adventures are here, and how we let the reader know. Because of right now, I'm leading towards this one, this this top one, and that's kind of what I went with originally, only because it was easier to convey what I needed to convey. I was able to put the building in, and I'll show that. I'll show that to you a little later. What I did. I'm gonna try one more. Let's try one more of this. Um, again, I don't care about the panel size because this can change. I'm just drawing these panels because that's how I see things. I see things in panels because the story it's written for panels. So I did that one. And all of these change. Keep in mind all of these change. So I can draw. I can do this. Like if you guys want to be really rough about it, you can do this. Like, hey, here's Shocker. Here's the Doctor. Right? As long as it's conveying what you need to tell your story, because what happens is you'll refer back to the script, but if you've done enough for you to understand what's going on in your panels, a lot of times you won't need to go back to it, and that way you're not having to. Okay, what's this? Okay, what's that? What's that? You're not going back to it. So however you want to do it, I tend to do a little bit more for my thumbnails. Um, I don't know if I kept my thumbnails from that. Well, I might have. Um, I am actually wishing when I did it, I went with this panel instead of the one I did. Um, but I already have it kind of set up. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Um, I like the way number one is. I'll leave it like that. That one's fine. Because I could always change it later. As you're drawing, always keep your mind open that there is a more interesting angle you can get. So you're not just locked into what you put down on paper. Um, you could be drawing, and now that story and the way you're drawing is speaking to you, and it's telling you, I need this for the panel. And don't be locked in so much where you're like, no, 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 I already have this down. This is what I'm going to be doing. You can go back and change it because as you're doing it, something just speaks out to you, and you find a more interesting way of doing it. Excuse me. Okay, so that's my first panel. Now for my last panel, you remember, and again, this is on my Facebook page. You can go get this page that I'm working on right now. Also, if you go back a little while, I had posted the whole script. So if you're an artist that needs a script, this is the Marvel tryout script that I had, and I shared it on there. If you can't find it, let me know, and I will send it to you. Just send me a DM, and I will give you the script. Okay, panel 6, because I've already decided 1 and 6 of these panels on this page are going to be my big panels, my wow panels, right? So panel 6 is close up of Shocker, knows he's beat, but he's going to fight anyway. We almost feel bad for him. So, again, I'm going to start my thumbnail, and I'm going to just do a big panel. And I always start my big panels like this. Don't feel you have to. It's just the way I do it. And then I restructure everything. So it's a close up, right? And I know what I did last time because I could still see it in my head. That's my problem is I can't forget artwork. If I see something, I don't forget it. But I'm going to try to do something different. I'm going to go with a more forward shot here, which is us looking directly at Shocker. His arms are, he's got his arms curled up because he's ready. He's ready to try to fight his way out. Now, some things are really hard to convey with masked characters. So they say Shocker knows he's beat, but he's going to fight anyway, right? How do you convey that with a character that's wearing a mask? Well, first off, not every character is like Deadpool or Spider-Man that their eyes give off emotion. Because the moment you start doing that, then everybody looks the same and nobody's interesting anymore, right? So a lot of times how I'm going to convey that is with body language. Um, you know, study how people move and how they talk and how they react to certain situations, right? So if they're telling me he knows he's beat, I'm and he's gonna fight anyways, I'm just gonna put him in a powerful stance. He's ready to fight because I can't draw him all hopeless, shoulders shrugged down, and he's just defeated already. I want to make sure he looks like he's ready to fight. And again, these are my loose thumbnails. These are all over the place. If you're watching and you can't understand what I'm doing, don't feel bad. Half of the time I don't. Half of the time I'll just start making lines and seeing where I go and seeing what comes out and seeing what my eye catches. Sometimes you'll be drawing and I'll just do this. I'll be like, okay, well, here's his head, here's his body, and his arms, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I like his arm sticking up right here because that's what I see. In these really loose sketches. Whether you're working traditional or you're working digital, um, always keep that light hand when you're doing stuff because you get these interesting lines, and sometimes these lines come out of it that you weren't really going to use or weren't expecting, and now all of a sudden, again, the artwork is speaking to you and it's showing you something else, and now you got this different direction you're going to go. That's all because you took these steps to get there, right? So here's where I got first and last page. Now I'm not too worried about the middle of this. Here's the great thing about working digital. I can just arrange this, set it up, and do this. All right. So now, kind of got these thumbnails. I know, let's see. He's got a fight with the lady right here, and then Spider-Man and Miles show up. So let's see. Tighter on Shocker threatening the woman. So for this one, I'll just do like a quick that Shocker right there. Yeah, that's how loose it is because it's a thumbnail. Thumbnails don't have to be tight. You see those artists that do really tight thumbnails? I'm so envious of them because I can't do that. I see J. Scott Campbell's thumbnails, and it looks like he's drawing already. Just it's missing the finer details, but you could see what he's doing. You could see where he wants to go with it. And he's a perfect example. He posts his thumbnails all the time. Go check out J. Scott Campbell on his Facebook, Instagram. I don't know if he has a Twitter X, whatever. But he a lot of times after he posts his art, he'll post his thumbnails, and you could see what he went through and the different angles and the different poses he was thinking of before they settled on the one that um, they went with. And settle's a bad word. Um, before they agreed on it because that was the best looking one. Okay, so we got panel 2. Panel 3, Electro charging up a blast at the lady, but behind him. Hmm. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm going through my head. I'm still can't get what I did for my tryout out of my head, and I can see it. So this is difficult because I'm doing all these steps over, trying to come up with something different, and I'm going through my head like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this. Anyways, so Shocker's right here again. He's charging up his thing, so I'll put like electricity here, and then Shocker whirls to CP. Panel 5, Shocker whirls to see Miles. Now I know what I did for my other one, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna have to think a little bit different here. So what I'll do here is, again, loose, super loose. I'm gonna show you what rules you have to follow next for doing this because I'm not worried about reader's eye at the moment. I'm worried about setup, right? So kind of similar to what I did here. All right, so I have my basic thumbnails done. I sent these into the editor. They're totally fine with it, although I think the editor would be like, that sucks, do something else. But what recommend? Let's see, what program do you recommend for someone who is starting out in digital art? All right, so if you're starting out in digital art, that means you've already probably worked traditionally, right? Um, you've already spent your time learning how to draw with a pencil, doing other things like that. Don't try to dive directly into digital art. Learn the rules so you can break them. So practice with the pencil first. Learn how all that works. Because you'll pick up techniques and certain things with the pencil that you could bring over digitally. That's why the argument of like digital is easier. You can't do that traditionally. So my response is, yeah, I can because I used to do it. I didn't automatically go from traditional to digital, and I was like, oh, I know what to do. I drew traditional for like 20 something years, and I went to digital, and it was a huge learning curve. So it does make it easier when you semi know what you're doing. As for programs, there's some great programs. I'm using an iPad, so I have Procreate. Procreate is a fantastic art program, like $12, $13 for a one-time purchase, and it's updating pretty often. That's a great one. A lot of artists will use Clip Studio. Um, really great program. You can create your comic, everything. They have layouts for you. They have 3D models. They have almost everything you would need to create a comic in there. Um, and if you're just starting out, you could try Adobe Fresco. Fantastic. I was just recently told about Fresco, and I actually got rid of Clip Studio Paint because Fresco was doing what I wanted it to do. I didn't use Clip Studio Paint. I was just using it to do my thumbnail. I have a really weird way of working, so I will work from thumbnails on one program, go to another program, work that way. So when I had Clip Studio Paint, I would do my thumbnails in Clip Studio Paints, all my layouts, everything in Clip Studio Paint, bring them over to Procreate, draw them in Procreate, and then since I color my works too, I would take my artwork from Procreate into Photoshop. So it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of hassle. Most people are like, "Why do you do it that way? That sounds dumb," and it is. But that's just the way I do things, and I'm dumb for doing it. Anyways, let's move on. Last final thing. This is the most important because this is how you're going to get your reader to look at your artwork and how they're going to be able to follow the story without you telling them which way to look. You're going to be guiding their eye. This is for layouts. Yeah, layouts. Layouts are so much fun. So I did my thumbnail. Again, if you were to look at this, um, it's kind of laid out, but again, it's so loose. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the opacity on this, right? I'm going to bring this down. And with my layouts, I'm going to start figuring out how this page is going to look the best on here. Now, I already know I want this, let's see, I want panel one to be a nice big one, right? And I want panel six to be another. Now, there's a couple things I can do. Panel six was the one we discussed where close up of Shocker's face. A lot of times I like to get the bigger panels on a close up because you can get more detail and more emotion in that face. But again, he has a mask on, so it's a little bit harder. But since that is the close up, I want that to be my biggest panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. Right? A little bit smaller. Why am I going to do that? Because I'm going to start adding my other panels over here. I want to do like a cool layout that's going to follow your eye. And by what I mean is by following your eye, everybody reads, well, here we all read from left to right. So you're going to want your artwork. Let me get another color. You want your artwork to flow from left to right, the way you would read a book. 'Cause that's the way we've been reading since we were little kids, and our eye naturally follows left to right and then back down. You're going to want to follow a loose Z pattern, and it doesn't mean that you have to go here and everybody has to follow here. But what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to take the reader's eye across here, right, and go into this panel. And then from this panel, I'm going to want them to come back down. I want the action to go here. And then I'm going to want, there's 6 panels. So I'm going to want to go back from one panel and then maybe back down, right? So that's something you have to keep in mind is the way it flows, the way the reader's eye follows with what you're doing. Let me lower the opacity on that. So it's still there. It's behind there. You can kind of see it. All right. So here we go. I decided on Shocker right here. Right? I wanted to put him here. Right? I'm going to put the doctor here. And see what's happening is we're starting at Shocker and we're following right across. Where's the doctor? Next panel is tighter on Shocker threatening the woman. So what I'm going to do is put Shocker here. I'm going to put his face looking this way. What does that do? That causes you to be like looking in his direction. So he's looking down this way. Your eye's going to go that way, the direction he's looking. Right? Here he is. Next page is charging up to blast the lady. So what I'm going to do here is I want to make sure that his eye, I'm sorry, your eye as the reader is going back this way. So what I might do is he's charging up and he's ready to blast. So I'll put one hand here as he's charging up. Right? He's charging up here. Right? So now your eye's going across his hand into this page. Next 2 pages, Spider-Man shows up. He whirls around to look at him. I could do that here. This is where it gets difficult because I went with this weird separate panels. I've been doing that for a while. It's a little tricky to do. But for me, I feel like it flows a lot better because if I was to move this one up, if I was to move this one, I get this one and I move it up here. You might want to go down. So I give a little bit of space right there so you know which way your eye went. Okay, so now we got him here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw him from behind. And Spider-Man on this section, this area here. And Miles Morales here, facing down. And then I'm going to give you that big Shocker page. Where even though he knows he's beat, he is still going to try to fight. That's my basic layout. I already know I can get the reader to go from right to left for doing this. I have it all, and this looks really loose. I mean, the show's an hour, so I try to get as much information in there as possible for you guys. But that's how the pages work. As long as you're showing how they flow, how everything goes, shouldn't be a problem, and most editors can read it. Most comic fans can read it. Now, let me see. Let me see if I can find the pages that I did. I have them somewhere. That's the beauty of this. Let me put this real quick, and I will find those and I will show you. No, Streamlabs. I do not want to open you right now. I said no. I don't know if anybody else has a problem with Streamlabs, but it's constantly wanting to open on mine. Okay, let me go here. Let me open my portfolio here. And here we go. Let me show you. Oh, I went about um, doing these pages. All right, so here's mine. Here's my original take on it. And this is what I did. Um, so again, you could see everything we needed right here: the storefront, the doctor, the shocker standing menacingly. Um, Now for panel two on this one here, all the description is a tighter shot on shocker threatening the woman. Right? It was my choice to put her trying to defend herself. So she didn't look like a damsel in distress. She wasn't gonna just stand aside and let Shocker go in here and take the medicine that it says in the story that he's trying to get to, right? So I put her hitting him on the head, and she's gonna do everything she can to make him stop coming in. Uh, Difference here from the one I did. Um, I did a close up of him charging up, ready to blast the lady. Um, it never says in the description of the script that she needed to be in the shot. It was just about him, but I threw her in there because, again, the flow of it you could see here. So it flows from left to right. Right. You go from the doctor, the shocker, shocker's arm right here, pointing down. It'll bring your eye back across. His movement is taking you back across the page to here, and then you got him looking down, and all the action is going back down to these pages right here. Oh, James, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Um, and in the script, it says for the next 4 and 5 panels, it was Shocker whirls around to see Pete, whirls the other way to see Miles. I went with this. I like what I did in my loose layouts today, um, which was just the back of Shocker, and you could see him looking at both of them. But this is what I went with. If I zoom in here, you can see he's whirling around one way to look at Spider-Man. He's looking at Pete, and then he whirls around the other way, looks at Miles. Um, James, the script is from a Marvel tryout script. I actually have it on my Facebook page. If you can't find it, let me know. I will. I'll send it to you. Um, if you can't find it, just DM me, and I'll send you it. It's like a 5-page sample script, and I give it to you. Oh, I don't know what's going on tonight. Yeah, I might have to get a new microphone, figure something out. But let's see. Yeah, please, yeah, check it out. Um, all the pages are on there. And then for this last page, um, close up of Shocker. He knows he's beat. He's going to fight anyway. I almost feel bad for him. It never says that he's charging up or he's you know he's going to shoot like electricity at them or whatever. That was the choice I made because I thought it looked cooler. If he's ready to fight and that's his main weapon, then that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be charging this up. So that's what I went with. Um, and that this was my layout for it. Um, I be honest, I never heard back from them, but that's because the editor I was talking to left Marvel and went to Mad Cave, and I recently signed with Mad Cave, so you never know where things are going to come from. Yeah, so this is my pages, and I'll show you like, let me see. Here's the other pages for it. I'll just go through them real quick so you can see how I have everything going for each page. Shocker shooting towards the reader, but his blast here is going from left to right. The action right here, his blast is bringing your eye back across Miles and into panel 3, which is Spider-Man, and then the action takes you back across his face. Um, these ones kind of the same thing. You can see them swinging in. Miles is punching him this way. Uh, Spidey's kicking him. come back down, action's taking you across, and then your eye goes back to their hands shooting the web, and it's taking you back down the page. Um, this one's actually one of the more difficult pages because it's just talking. He's webbed up. If you guys get the script, he's just webbed up. He's talking right here. I threw this old lady in here just for fun. She's not in the script, but I thought it'd be fun. Right here, he's talking. Then you can see Spider-Man's talking to him in this panel, left to right. Brings it back down. His face is pointing down towards this one. Um, you come here, and then they take you out across this way. And then the last one is just the closing shot, which you're gonna find that a lot of times these type of pages become the most difficult because most of the time you're studying these on drawing these really cool action shots or cool poses, and now they've given you like in this part of the script they said they just wanted a pizza place filled with people. Miles and Pete find a place to sit, they talk, and then you see them sitting in the window from the outside. So um, yeah, that's why that big establishing shot right here. Pizza place filled with people. They sit down to eat their pizza. They have their little conversation. You know, they're having a moment, and then the end, they're in the back. Right? Yeah, that's that's it. It's a lot harder than it sounds. It's I probably threw a lot of information at you, and you're saying to yourself, "What the hell are you talking about?" It's just practice, 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 practice. It's just like drawing a cover. It is just like doing a pinup. You do it over and over. That all these little things that I was just talking about become second nature, and you don't even think about it, right? Um, you do want to keep in mind some things I didn't touch on. Um, Rule of thirds, your composition, your proportions, your um, your perspective, all of that. You're gonna want to keep all of that in mind because if you don't, it's gonna get wonky. It's gonna start to look weird, and you know, I'm hoping you'll get more work from doing this. But sequentials are fun. Here's the thing: sequentials are fun. A lot of people don't like sequential work. I personally love doing sequential work. I find covers and pinup art more challenging because I recently did. Let me get back to the book Madcaps. I did the book Madcaps #2. Kickstarter's live right now. Cover. That's my interior artwork. Another cool cover for it. When he sent that to me, I was able to read it and get to know these characters, as opposed to when if somebody sends you a cover and they're like, "Hey, I want a cover for this book. This is my book. These are the characters that I want you to do. Um, just have fun with it." A lot of times you get the let's just have fun with it. Um, I don't know those characters enough because maybe it's an indie book that you've never seen before, but they happen to come across your artwork and now they want to hire you, and now you have to come up with your look for those characters. If it's a Batman or a Spider-Man, there's years and years of reference photos, but an indie book might not have all of that for you. You got to do your studying. You got to figure out how they're going to look. As opposed to when you get a script and you're doing sequentials, you could read it and you start to figure out the characters. You start to see how they are. You see them come to life in the written word, and it really does help when it comes down to drawing them. Because if this person has a sense of humor, that person's a jerk. All of that comes into play. So that's it, guys. That's my show for today. I'm going to be gone for. We won't have another show for 2 weeks. Um, the little one is going to be turning 3, so I will not be. Won't be around. But in 2 weeks, I'm super excited because I'm going to have some industry pros on. Um, First week, I'm going to have Coy Turnbull, who has drawn everything from Black Panther to what has he drawn? He's drawn Black Panther. He has drawn stuff for Aspen. He's drawn Robotech. All these different books. super nice guy. I recently met him. I talked to him, asked him if he'd be on the show. He's going to come on, share his knowledge with you guys. So any of you artists out there, pencilers, want to pick a professional's brain, he's going to be the guy. And then the following week, I have a colorist on. I know I color too, and I really haven't touched on any colors recently, but I'm going to have one of my all-time favorite colorists on, who used to color G. Scott Campbell's work, and then she started doing her own creator-owned books. One of the most amazing colorists I've ever seen. Nay Rufino is going to be on. So April, I want to say 24th, she's going to be on then, and the week before that. But next week, yeah, taking time off. So I hope you guys will join me the following week. I'll be posting about it because I am super excited. All right, guys. Until then, I will see you